Good afternoon, everybody. This is your girl Koya. Just coming again with another video in regards to diabetes. Yes, we're still talking about diabetes. We will be for a while. But what I want to discuss today is actually how people become diabetic. So we know long time ago there wasn't a whole lot of knowledge into how people became diabetic. That was more or less kind of something that was reactive, to where we tried to figure out what do we do now that you're diabetic? What should you be eating? What medications should you take? That type of thing. Well, now there's a little bit more information available out there to kind of pinpoint what may have happened, not necessarily to prevent it from happening, but just kind of an understanding of why would you now become diabetic, or would you get something that was traditionally known as juvenile diabetes, which now has become adult onset type 1 diabetes. So what actually happens is your body has a pancreas. We all have a pancreas, and in that pancreas, beta cells are they live in the pancreas. I apologize, I got a little distracted from that car passing by. But and I'm sitting outside my daughter's school, by the way, waiting for her to get out. And just decided I'd go ahead and just make a video. Anyway, in the pancreas are beta cells, and they are actually responsible for making insulin. So when you eat something, the beta cells get activated. They start to kind of crank up. They start dispensing insulin. The insulin then takes that sugar to one of three locations. It will either take it to your fat cell, it will take it to your liver, or it will take it to a muscle. If it takes it to a muscle, we know that that's burnt and used for when you're actually making... Sorry if there's a little glitch. Had somebody waving at me outside my door, wanting me to go up a little bit so they can pull in behind me. But like I was saying, you know, when the sugar gets carried into the cells, the muscle cell, we burn it up and use it for energy. In the fat cell, it gets stored for later. And in the liver, the liver acts as a reservoir. So if we ever don't eat or our blood sugar drops, the liver holds that sugar and it will dump it into your bloodstream. So what happens when you become a diabetic? When you become a type 1 diabetic, your pancreas is no longer working because we cannot regenerate beta cells. And since we cannot regenerate the beta cells, once we lose them by maybe, like most type 2 diabetics, I would say they wear theirs out. You're eating too much fatty foods or high carb foods, and what your body is able to produce is not enough to carry the sugar out of your blood cell. So you have your beta cells that are working. Maybe you're overweight, you're overeating. Now your body is trying to accommodate for that and make more. So you're basically overworking your beta cells, and once they get tired and they quit and they poop out, that's it. Sometimes what actually happens, and what they've found that happens, especially in type 1 diabetics, our body has red blood cells and white blood cells, as many of us probably already know. Well, your body, once it thinks that there's a foreign object, or if there is a foreign object in your body, like, you know, some type of virus, the flu, cold, some type of illness, it will produce more white blood cells to fight off that illness. Well, what happens with most type 1 diabetics, our white blood cells may not be wired correctly. So once it fights off the infection or the illness, it actually starts to fight the beta cells, thinking that it's a part of the virus. So once it fights and kills off those beta cells, as I already stated, we can't regenerate them. Now you don't have any beta cells, your body's not producing any insulin, and that's when you find that you end up on insulin. Now, what can happen is you can start out a type 2 diabetic and maybe be diet controlled and just be on an oral medication, and your doctor may suggest that you do some exercise, you know, watch what you eat. But let's say that you don't watch what you eat and you keep eating, not watching your blood sugar stays so high. Your beta cells are trying to accommodate for that and trying to get all of that blood sugar out of your bloodstream. And your kidneys as well, because now it's all of the water and liquid that you have and your body's trying to dilute the blood and trying to dilute that sugar in the blood, you kind of wear the beta cells out. Or let's say you're type 2 diabetic, but then something happens and you get really sick and you catch the flu one year, or you get pneumonia, or you get, I hope not, MRSA, or something in your body. Your white blood cells get confused and they kill off the virus, but they also kill off your beta cells. At that point, you can actually go from being type 2 to type 1. So basically what we want to make sure that we understand is type 2 diabetics, you generally still make insulin. You just may not make enough to accommodate what your body needs based off of what you're eating and the number of beta cells that you have left that have not burnt out. Type 1 diabetics, we don't make any insulin, or we make so little, it's basically nothing. And therefore, we have to accommodate our bodies by putting in insulin, either on a fast acting and a slow acting insulin, or you can, like myself, who's on an insulin pump, which is only fast acting, but it's giving me insulin continuously throughout the day for 24 hours. I mean, I'm always getting insulin. It'll give me a little bit, like 1 unit every hour, and then I tell it how much carbs that I'm eating, and then it'll give me more to accommodate for that. But that will be coming in my next video. I want to talk about how insulin is how it is effective in, helping to reduce blood sugar. I apologize, I'm getting tongue-tied for a second. I better check my blood sugar. My blood sugar could be dropping. But I want to talk about how insulin works with our body and the different types, and it can even, be considerate of the manufacturer, whether it's Novolog or Humalog, whether it's Lantus or Levemir. And I want to talk a little bit about the oral medications and how your body may work with those. Like some prescriptions like Actos and Glucotrol, some of those actually help your body to produce, it revs up those beta cells that you do have when you're type 2, and actually helps them to produce more insulin, which in turn, of course, helps to lower the blood sugar. Some medications like metformin just help it to become easier to open the cell doors, and put that insulin in. And you know what? That's one thing I forgot. That's what I wanted to tell you guys. That what happens is when you eat the food and it's digested, the insulin then goes and picks up a sugar cell. It picks up some sugar, right? And then it goes to the cell and it's like, knock, knock, knock. I'm here to deliver some sugar. And it'll open the door, put the sugar in, and close the cell door. Right? That's what happens in a perfect world and a great, perfect body. But what happens when you're diabetic, as those beta cells start to get tired and your cell walls start to thicken, because maybe you still have all your beta cells, but your cell walls are now thickening. So instead of just one little insulin to open that door, now that one insulin struggling, can't get it open. Now it's taking two insulins to actually open that door. It takes two buddies have to pull on that door together, and so on and so forth. If it gets harder and harder, it may take 3, it may take 4. But as we know, if you're still producing the same amount of insulin, but now those insulins have now been allotted to, instead of having 1 per cell, now you need 4 per cell to open up the cell walls. That's when they'll give you metformin, because it helps those walls to open up easier. Those doors, I apologize, to open up easier. It's like WD-40 on your on your cell doors, so that the insulin can now open it. So it makes those insulins more productive. Instead of taking 4, maybe when you're taking your metformin, it only takes 2. You know what I mean? So it gives you more insulin to go around and help get that sugar out of the bloodstream. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the insulin when Humalog starts to affect the bloodstream and how long it lasts in the blood to help carry that sugar out, versus Novolog and Lantus versus Levemir. And we'll also talk about the insulin pump and why I think it's the best thing ever. So anyway, I love you guys oh so much. I hope you found this information to be something that you can use and educational. If you think someone else could use it, please feel free to share. Please like my video, thumbs it up if you thought it was good. Leave a comment if there's some topics or anything that I can discuss for you guys. And I hope to see you again in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. And like I said, I love you guys oh so much. And remember, you are wonderfully and beautifully made. Have a great one. Oh, and happy Tuesday.